Hey, I'm Tyler. I'm here with the Pioneers podcast, The Drop, and I'm here today with Ashley.
Hello, I'm Ashley.
And Isaac.
I'm Isaac, he, him pronouns.
They're club presidents, and
Yeah.
they feel that they're underrepresented. And just can you give me a little brief description of what your club is?
I'm the club president of Native or Indigenous at Pierce. So it's a club for Native students to come and have a safe space to talk with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Queer support is also a safe space, though for the LGBTQ community and its allies. We work on not just like a place where, other people in the community can meet others, but also in providing resources and outreach and scholarship reminders and things like that.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay, so do you think there's any misconceptions about what your club is or what it does and how it functions?
I think with mine, it could be that it's only for Native or Indigenous students, but it could be for anyone, like again, allies. But as long as the people are reminded that it's for Indigenous people, so like at least respect that space. Like you could come and learn more about the community, but at least respect and understand that it's our perspective that we're talking about. So if you maybe talk about it in a negative way, it could impact people. But
Okay.
it's for everybody to join.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very much like Ashley said, like it's supposed to be that it is anyone that appreciates the LGBT community, like in general. Just like getting, I guess, people to join, because I don't think a lot of people understand that like allies are always welcome.
Yeah.
They're needed, really.
Okay. Yeah. How do you plan on expanding it and getting more people to join? Do you have any particular plan?
Well, we have, because the gays are so creative, we have people just like every quarter, like making new flyers and like making things for us. We really want to make like the table more and more extravagant every year. And just like making sure like word of mouth, like all of the counselors know, like more and more teachers know. We want like the students themselves to really like recommend the club.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it the same thing for you?
I would say it's pretty much the same thing, but I feel like less students and less professors or people know. So we're trying to make events and have flyers and different things so people become aware. So we have more recruitment because we want more people to join. So I think getting to a point where the staff also recognizes it too would be good.
Yeah, that'd be great. Could you give an example of some of the activities you have planned?
So we have a lot for this month because we really wanted to get some for Native American Heritage Month. On the 26th, it's a Tuesday, the day before we go out for Thanksgiving break. There's going to be a documentary shown for missing and murdered Indigenous women, which is a big epidemic here. Seattle has the highest rate of missing and murdered Indigenous women. So we want to play a documentary, and we're going to put up posters. We're going to make posters next meeting so we could hang around the school. And we're going to show the documentary and have a discussion about it so people know about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that'd do a really good job of getting more
So I'm
people
really
involved.
excited for doing that.
Yeah. What about your
Yeah,
club?
that's some heavy stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that part is really heavy.
I'm so thankful
Yeah.
I'm not dead.
Yeah. So.
Great. We are starting to push out like offering trans essentials and more like pride items as like prizes. And then we've just like created a Discord. So like even if you can't like come in, like you can always have alerts, notices, chat with other people. So like just making sure like it's as tight, like no one can slip through the cracks, because I feel like it's so easy for, LGBT youth to just like disappear.
Yeah.
Which is the scariest part.
Yeah, that
It really is.
They really need to stay involved and supported in order to...
Yeah, because, literally all it takes is like, oh, I wanted this cute little pride pin from Amazon, but my parents are connected with that. Now they saw that, now there's a talk, and now I don't have a house.
From what I hear, it's kind of similar, but in a different way, but that's where we go into intersectionality and race and sexuality intertwine, in that it's very easy for Native people to be displaced or not have support and again slip through the cracks. So I feel like that's kind of what's happened with the club in general, that it's been very hard for us to be consistent And that's why I'm here, to try and talk about it, to have recruitment and make it so it's more stable.
So both of you really stepped up in your communities, and I can't imagine that's something that's easy or something that can be taken lightly. Was there a specific moment where you knew that this was something that you had to do?
I feel, if you don't mind me saying first, I feel like for me it wasn't a specific moment.
Mhm.
It was, I didn't even realize it until recently, knowing that there's no one else who's able to pick up that role because other club members are going through their own thing. It's something, wasn't even a question, it's just, I'm doing this type of feeling recently. Well, it's been really nice to do it because I'm making a difference. So.
I mean, for me, it was like, oh, it's my first quarter, and I don't see any,
That's the
nothing.
same
I didn't
thing.
see
Yeah.
anything
Mhm.
for queers, like any of the gays, nothing.
Mhm.
And so, as someone who had made a GSA at one high school and then moved, and then they like forced me into one of the
Mhm.
like higher positions in that new club.
Yeah.
It was, well, I guess I'm making another little trail.
Yeah.
Third time's the
following me.
charm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it was very like spur of the moment. I think like the club like made and officialized in like 3
Yeah.
weeks
Wow.
or something,
yeah.
first
Mhm.
quarter. I just like couldn't stand the thought that there was like nothing. So I really just like had to make it. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I didn't even have a choice. It was just like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, I guess it's not here, so I'm gonna make it.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
I was going to say that when I first came here, I didn't see a Native club either, and I instantly felt isolated from that. I was like, oh, that's the type of place this is. It's not here. And it took me a lot longer, but a
Mhm.
year later I was trying to make it, but it was placed on us maybe because no one else could, and think, oh, I could just take this person, make them do it, and it'll be okay. It's not my problem anymore.
Yeah.
That's where, I don't know if you've ever heard of it before, but it's called cultural taxation. So
Mhm.
people who are maybe like one of the only Native students, Black students, Asian students will become the representative of all people because there's no one else. So
Mhm.
that is really taxing on one person, but we also have a passion for doing it. So, but it goes into, there needs to be more than just us. Because there are people here, they just might not know about it or feel comfortable yet to go to the club, and we want to make it so everyone knows about it, and just like, you could come and it's a fun time, we're making posters next week, or you could talk about so many things that you're passionate about,
Mhm.
and it'll just make everyone feel better.
So the administration is bringing in a new clubs representative, I believe it is. Do you have
Mhm.
any hopes or ideas of what that could bring for your clubs?
I feel like the first thing is just like more direct communication.
Yes.
Just being like,
yeah.
oh, that's the person I need to
Mhm.
talk to,
Yeah.
and they're not like overloaded with everything. Because we do
Yeah.
have, like a student elected, like president of clubs,
Mm-hmm.
and he has all of the club stuff to do. All of it.
How many clubs are there? There's like 10, 20?
I feel like it's almost in the 20 range,
Wow.
almost.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's like, there's so
One
many...
person to do all of that?
Yeah, there's so many moving parts to that.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
And it's the student, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yes, it's a student, too. That's what's the worst part, I feel like.
Mhm.
They're, like, probably a full-time student, and thank God they're getting paid for that position, but, like,
Mhm.
there ain't enough money in the world. There ain't enough time.
Yeah.
So having it, like, one person, like, that's their specific job, and then,
Mhm.
like, whatever they can't handle,
Yeah.
or maybe, like, sharing that workload is really what would make things, like, go.
Because I feel like going into this, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm mostly winging it, and from what I heard and what I had to do, it's really confusing, and I like the wording you said, direct communication, so it's 100% clear on what's supposed to happen, not, I'm going to mention this to somebody and they're going to refer to somebody else who might do something about it, but I'm going to have to figure it out by myself anyway,
Mhm.
type of thing.
So,
So,
because, like, literally nothing against the guy who is
Mhm.
the current president.
yeah.
I think he's great. I think he's really, like, taken up. He's wanting to, like, change some, like, fine print actually within, like, the club's handbook, which is, like, yes, thank you. But it's, like, he can't do that and take care of, like, nearly 20 clubs and do school and get paid, like, what, minimum wage?
Mm-hmm.
No,
It's just overwhelming.
I would never.
Yeah. Even running our own club is so difficult, and then having to do other people while I still work and we all go to school and things like that. It's just, it'll be so like stress relieving to have someone there who has that authority to get things done.
That'd be great. When and where do your clubs meet? Like specifically just for the sake of our viewers, since.
So for right now, this quarter, we have made it so it's on Mondays 3 to 4 in the Rainier building, 331, so it's across from the STEM Center. So we normally go there, and it's a specific spot because it's one of the only places where there's like so much windows and you can see outside in the mountain and everything. So it's really nice to be up there.
Yeah.
So that's where we normally meet.
You can even see Rainier from there, can't you?
Yeah. So it's really cool, especially because nature is really an important part of Indigenous cultures. So to be able to have that is nice.
Yeah.
That sounds so lovely.
Yeah. You change it up there for us too.
Wow. For queer support though, we meet on Thursdays from like 11 a.m. to 12, which that might be subject to change in the next quarter because that was not great. And we meet in the Olympic Building, 305. For next quarter. The queer supports are going to be still on Thursdays, but like at 1:30 to 2:30, because we like to have it so that it's on a 30. So like if you have a class at 1, you can still make it to the 2:30, and then if you have it,
that's a good idea.
we like to like mix it up, and then like it's a whole thing. If like you show up early, then you get like 2 hours of gay stuff.
That's a good idea.
What are some obstacles that your clubs have faced? Like, is there anything in particular that's been daunting?
I think we've talked about it a little bit with direct communication in terms of what our responsibility as like a club president is supposed to do. I understand how it's important for students to take up that role in being authoritative and having like a leadership position, but sometimes it can be really confusing on what's supposed to happen. We're not really guided, so I think that could be a part of it. And because there's not a lot of people know about the club, which we're trying to change, it makes it so sometimes there's really small meetings and only a few people. And I feel like we could use this club as a space for so many more people. So one of the goals as the Indigenous at Pierce Club is to have like a community garden here. So that's been shut down a lot, and we're trying to get that. So I think that could be a big obstacle. Yeah, we really want a garden here because it's important for students who do not use only Western medicine as a way of healing, but natural healing and prayer, and having a place rather than a cooped up room would be really nice for someone to be able to be outside and you know, look out our beautiful campus. You're able to see the ocean from over there and then the lake down there, and it's really pretty. So I think that's an obstacle is recognition of a club and starting a garden. It's been really difficult, but we're trying to change that.
I think I've seen some of what was supposed to be a garden at one point, or maybe what was a garden. Yeah. And so that'd be really amazing if that actually turned into something.
Yeah, and we have a lot more goals, like having a Native advisor at this school, because there's things like Aspire or the different offices for different people, but there isn't one for Native or Indigenous students, and that would be nice to have an advisor so it could help with the club and for students who need somewhere to go as like an adult to talk about things.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like a counselor, not really a counselor, but just to know that there's someone representing them in a school like this.
The option's really important.
In that first quarter, that queer support had been created, I had wanted to do a budget, and I didn't want this budget to just be like, oh, look at all these pride things, look at all these flags and like books and movies and just have a great time, because that's not the community's life. Like, we have pride because we are so beaten down that the only way that we can gain self-esteem is by being so over the top, so flamboyant that like no one can tell us otherwise. What I had wanted to do was provide trans essentials, and trans essentials are things like binders, which compress the chest to make a more flatter appearance, gaps, which are underwear that's sort of, tuck, and then there are things that assimilate, sort of act as a dysphoric relief in creating, the body parts we wish we had, which is the saddest part, that we have to spend money to look the way we want. All I had wanted to do was buy those things for, students, so that there would be like an easy, prize system that they could be like, oh, well, I don't really want a pride flag, but I'd really be so much happier for the rest of my life if I got a binder. So I had put that in the budget. I put binders, gaffs, packers, packer pouches, and bras with like inserts. And I had given, the student life office a week's heads up, probably a little bit more. There had been some concern because some of these items look like genitalia, but honey, it's silicone, and you couldn't use it as a sex object if you tried. They're that unusable. Like, clearly not a sex toy. Clearly, in any regard, not that. And so there had been some concern with that, but they had never said,
no.
There was they had never said no. So then I get to the club council meeting, and I give them, that brief explanation, pretty similar to that. Not a single person voted against it. So it was moving forward. 2 weeks later, we go to pick up the items, and half of it is gone. All of our, regular pride items were there, but not a single trans item was there. In that 3-week span, they could have sent me an email at any time. I heard nothing. It was never, a really good excuse. It was things that are, blatantly not an issue according to, the club handbook. Things like, oh, you can't buy things that are individual use. What are club t-shirts if not individual use? What are the condoms sitting there in the student life office if not a sexual individual use item? It was really just a wild goose chase of going through all of these motions of trying to explain it to student life, having them point fingers at other people, trying to explain to them, trying to go up and up and up. And it's been a year. It's been a year of this. I worked since that fall quarter through winter, spring, summer, and it's fall again. And nearly by the time that the quarter is up, do they finally get back to me and say, oh yeah, you can have those items, no problem.
It took a whole year.
Do you know how many students I could have helped? I saw, there are still students, complaining to me that they can't have those items. And so now I'm so happy to tell them, I can get you those things. But some of them have already graduated. Some of them have moved on. And now they're gone. And then they treated me like a sexual deviant. I was even implicated as a pedophile because I had Running Start students who are, not of legal age.
But it doesn't matter because
they're in
in terms
college.
Of being in the club.
Yeah, exactly. So within the guidebook for clubs, I literally cannot turn away any students as long as they're no student. As long as they're not being disruptive and they can be in the club. I can't turn away advisors, staff. I can't turn away anyone. I can't shut the door on anyone unless they've caused a disruption. It's just not fair to be put in that light automatically without me even having a chance to say anything against it.
So I really admire the amount of work that both of you have put into your clubs and everything that you've done. It's amazing, and you already graduated, so you're coming well out of your way, and everything that Issac has put in as well. Is there any closing remarks that you have?
What I would want is for others to know about the club and recognize it, and that we want more people to be here so we could change the dynamic of the school, so there will be accurate representation in events and people speaking about Native people. So, and the fact that we still right now are on Native land, this is Nisqually and Puyallup land, they were here for thousands of years and we're still here, and we will always be here to be fighting and having our voice. It's just, will you listen to us?
I don't feel like people mean to be so dismissive all of the time, but it really is like, if you don't know that community and all of its intricacies, it's so easy to be like, it doesn't concern me.
Yeah.
More than 30, 40 individuals that are a part of queer support, even if they can't like show up or participate all the time, and they just have like access to resources of, you know, scholarships like the Pride Foundation, any like hotlines or any resources like food and housing, as long as there is a continuation of progress. My only wish for this club is that even after I leave, it will continue on without me. I want it to be self-sustaining forever. That's the most that I can ask for.
Well, Ashley.
Nice.
Issac, I really appreciate you coming in today. I wish the best for your clubs. If there's anything I can ever do to support you guys, I'd love to come into some meetings. Not sure how it's going to work with my schedule, but really appreciate talking to you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.